Why has it been delayed? You're not having a meeting? Is that what you're saying?
Good afternoon and welcome to the Governor's Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness to Housing Technical Assistance Subcommittee. We will wait an additional 5 minutes. We are waiting for a few more people to enter, including our chair. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I just said we would wait an additional 5 minutes. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. Thank everyone for joining us. We are just waiting an additional few minutes to allow anyone else to join before we begin.
Hey, just to give a heads up, I have really terrible service. So if I cut in and out, I apologize.
Thank you for that. Madam Chair, would you like to begin? It looks like we have, I think, our magic number.
Sure, let's go ahead and take a stab at it.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Governor's Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness to Housing Technical Assistance Subcommittee. This meeting has been publicly noticed in compliance with Nevada's open meeting law. Chair Michelle Fuller-Hellauer will call the meeting to order.
Good afternoon. It is 1:04 on July 11, 2023. I almost said 2003. I'd like to call the meeting of the Nevada Interagency Council on Homelessness Subcommittee for Technical Assistance to order. Niana, will you please take roll?
Yes. Chairwoman Michelle Fuller-Hellauer.
Present.
Karen Van Hest.
Present.
Noga Valdez. Dr. Pamela.
Present. I'm sorry, present. Nolga Valdez.
Thank you. Dr. Pamela Janelle. Chris Murphy. Brooke Page.
Present.
Austin Pollard.
Present.
Christy Costa. Blaine Clemens. Bill Ennis.
Present.
Lorena Lemus, sorry.
Present.
Benton. Madam Chair, we do have quorum.
That's awesome. All right, thank you. Item number 2 on our agenda. Thank you all for being here. Item number 2 on our agenda is public comment. No action may be taken upon a matter raised until the matter has been specifically added to an agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you are making a public comment via phone, please call 1-775-321-6111, ID number 124739311#. We are now open for public comment. Please unmute yourself and state your name for the council if you are joining us via video. Any public comment? This is one of those awkward silences, but I'm going to wait just a little bit just to make sure we don't have any public comment. Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I will close this item and we will move on to agenda item number 3. This agenda item is for possible action. A discussion and possible approval of minutes for May 9th, 2023 and June 13th, 2023 Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness Technical Assistance Subcommittee meetings. Is there any possible discussion or possible motion for approval of the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes. May 9th for June 13th.
I think I heard somebody put a motion for approval.
Yes, you can't hear me, Michelle?
It's very staticky on my end.
Okay, I'll work on my reception.
That sounded a little better. Is it just me that's hearing the static? I think we have
This is Austin Pollard. I'll second that motion.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. I'll put this out for vote. for the approval of the minutes for the May 9th and June 13th. All those who are in approval, please state your name, or no, I mean, we haven't met so long, I forget how to do this. Please unmute yourself and, and state aye if you agree.
Aye.
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 If you if you disagree, please indicate by saying nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, let's move on and let's see if I can get any better at this as we go on. Agenda item number 4 for possible action, discussion and possible vote on assigning targeted work for the ICHH strategic plan among all of us, the ICH technical assistance members. So this agenda item really is for us to talk about the work, right? The targeted work that from the plan, and each of us taking responsibility for that work and what we are going to do moving forward. So do we need a kind of a...
Madam Chair, this is Bill from Salvation Army. I have to apologize. I missed the last meeting, so I'm not really sure on the targeted work concept, what we were looking at. If I missed something at that meeting, again, I apologize.
Thank you, Bill. I was just getting ready to ask if we needed kind of a little primer or a prep for the discussion on this one. Because I was kind of thinking, oh, I think I need a reminder myself. So let me pull up the actual plan. And if anybody wants to help your floundering chairwoman here, I'm open for assistance or a lifeline to be thrown my way. We pull up the plan. That's the plan. You have the plan there real quick with you, Liani?
Are you able to see the plan, Madam Chair?
Yes.
I need to make it bigger.
That would be great. Thank you.
And specifically, are you looking for, as I'm scrolling through, the action plan, or what exactly?
I was trying to jog my memory on exactly where we were in breaking down our next steps. Because I know that we have our matrix that we are gathering information from each of the COCs. I know that one of our meetings we had talked about possibly breaking down the work by strategic issue was one of the conversations that we had and haven't potentially having champions from this group for strategic issues. There are, trying to think of the other options that this team itself had come up with, that we were going to tackle this work as we move forward.
We have a hand up. It's hard for me to tell exactly who while I'm sharing. My apologies.
I think it's Chris. Chris, is your hand up?
Yes. Yeah, I thought the best that I could remember, we started assigning champions to different sections. I think that's what the last thing that we did. Then that was before we elected the new members.
Yes, I think you are right. And then we decided to wait until we got new members on board. Is that sounding familiar to the other folks that have been on here for a while? Now, y'all can't be asleep. I'm only allowed to be asleep. Y'all have to be awake when I'm asleep at the wheel. Otherwise, we're all going to crash and burn.
Yeah, but Michelle, that's exactly what I remember.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, Chris, I think I'm going to hand over the reins to you today and let you steer the boat today because.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to help. But I don't remember, and I'd have to dig back through my past meeting notes on who took which strategic issue to be champions and where we were with that. But I think that would be a good place to pick up if someone had that information.
Yes, actually, I think, Chris, you are right. I think that we had, you're jogging my memory, actually. I think that we had started talking about breaking down each strategic issue. So we've got the 7 strategic issues. Niani, do you have that the PowerPoint with just the slide that has like what the 7 strategic issues are? Yeah, there you go. That'll work. Or the 8 strategic issues. So I think what we were doing is taking each of those strategic issues, and each of us, we were taking a champion or wanting to have at least one champion, maybe 2, assigned to each of those strategic issues to like own that, and really take those and run with it, and move forward. And then I think you're right. I think we had paused and said, well, I think we need to wait until we get our new members on board, see where their interests and their strengths are, before we finalize things and move forward. So, in my opinion, I would say let's reset at that point, and let's just go through these strategic issues, and let's identify from our members who would like to own each of these strategic issues, to move them forward, and work with the respective folks across the state, to help move the needle on the goals, and develop the strategy or the action steps under those goals. Does that make sense? a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a flaming arrow, a flame that I'm like making no sense, something, some feedback.
That makes sense to me.
All right, thank you. Because y'all make me sound like I'm like speaking to nothing here and make me sound worse than I feel. All right, anybody want to step up and be a champion for housing?
This is Brooke. I will step up as a champion for housing.
Thank you, Brooke.
This is also Austin Pollard. I would like to be part of that as well.
Okay. Prevention, homelessness prevention and intervention. Anybody want to step up to be a champion for prevention and intervention?
Michelle, I will. This is Scott Benson. I will take that on.
Who was that? I'm sorry.
Scott Benson.
Scott. Okay.
This is Karen. I'd like to help along with that.
Karen. Okay, great. Okay. Wraparound services. Who's going to step up and champion wraparound services?
I can't take the lead on that, but I would like to help with that. This is Karen.
This is Nolga Valadez. I'll take the champion on that.
That was Nolga?
Yes, and Karen, I would love to have your help.
Perfect.
All right. Education and workforce development.
Madam Chair, this is Bill from Salvation Army. I'll take the lead on that if it's okay.
All right, great. Love it, Bill. Anybody want to help Bill?
Come on now, I'm a nice guy. Help me out here.
Okay, Bill, we've got a few members that aren't here today. We'll see if we can't try to get you somebody to work with you. Okay, what about coordination of primary and behavioral health?
This is Lorena Lemus from Northern Nevada Hopes. I can take that one.
And this
Okay.
is Chris Murphy. And I'll help with that since I have connections in the behavioral health realm.
Great. I apologize if you hear my dog snoring in the background. Coordination of data and resources. I'll step up and volunteer to do the data. Anybody want to help me?
This is Chris. I'll help you.
Yay. Okay, policies.
Madam Chair, this is Bill. I don't really want to take a lead on it, but I'll help out on policies.
Okay. Anybody want to take the lead on policies?
I guess I'll take lead and help out on it.
We'll find somebody to help you out.
Thanks.
What about
Michelle,
long-term
this is-
plan?
This is Brooke. I'll help with policies.
Okay. Thank you, Brooke.
Thanks, Brooke.
And long-term planning. Let's see. I'll work on some long-term planning. Anybody
is
want to
Ka-
help me?
Michelle, this is Karen. I'll help you. I was just kind of wondering on that one there, though. Is it something that everybody could kind of like little, pitch in a little bit or have any suggestions?
Yeah, and I think it's a great point. I mean, there's going to be spaces where we're all going to need to pitch in different ways. But I think there's some things that we kind of need to spearhead, right? And kind of push the work and kind of make sure that we're getting people at the table or getting voices heard or gathering information. So there might be things like for example, Karen, you and I may bring some things from long-term planning to this group and say, hey, we need this on an agenda for one of our meetings because we need you guys, we need your feedback and we need your help on a particular piece of this work. And anybody can do that for anything that we're working on. And that's a way that we can get the whole group involved as part of what we're doing. Okay. So thank you everybody for speaking up and being so quick to volunteer. I really appreciate you. That's very, very encouraging. I'm going to read this list back for Niani and team so that we make sure that we have it in record. And we will also make sure that we reach out to the rest of our team members who aren't here today or maybe who didn't feel comfortable speaking up and volunteering or what have thought, or maybe even any of you think about it later and go, hey, I want to volunteer to be part of that particular team or something. You can speak up and let Niani know, and we'll make sure that we get you on a group. Okay, so what I have is housing, Brooke and Austin. Prevention and intervention, Scott and Karen. Wraparound services, Nolga and Karen. Education and workforce development, Bill. We need to get somebody else on that group. Coordination of primary and behavioral health, Lorena and Chris. Coordination of data and resources, myself and Chris. Policies, Brooke and Bill. Long-term planning, myself and Karen. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Did I misspeak anywhere? Somebody give me some emojis somewhere.
Michelle, this is Scott. I can help out with the education and workforce development if you need somebody on there.
Awesome, Scott. Thank you. All right. Niani, Samantha, did you get that?
Yes, I got that.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so do we need to, is it a voting item? Do we need to vote on this?
Sorry, Madam Chair, it does say for possible action, so I would go ahead and the motion would be the number of people that stepped up. Does that make sense?
So.
Madam Chair, this
people
is
for-
Bill. So I'll make a motion to confirm the people whose names have been read for record for various services as reported.
Thank you, Bill. We have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
This is Scott. I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by unmuting and stating aye.
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 Okay.
All those anybody that is opposed, please indicate by saying unmuting and stating nay. Any abstentions, please unmute and indicate as such. Motion passes. Yay! Thank you all. Okay, we can move on to well, that was a vote on that. Do we need to have further discussion on what that work is, what that targeted work is?
Yeah, I think it'd be
Before we move
important to
on?
know what it is that we're expected to do and what is it that we should be doing by the next meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it possible to share that document that was just on the screen with us via email?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And we are in the process, just for level setting for everybody, and reminder, because we go a month without our regular meetings, and then when we don't have quorum, we miss a month in between. So we are collecting feedback from each of the COCs to populate a matrix for each of the goals under each of the strategic issues to find out what the COCs are currently doing toward our state plan and where they're gathering that information and what who their point of contact is. So we're in the process of getting that information, but I believe that there's going to be gaps in our knowledge base. So I suspect that one of the things that will be helpful, is that each of you that have, or each of us that has volunteered to champion a strategic issue, if you could partner with the COC, the champion for each COC in your strategic issue area, to help find out who is doing what in that region, to populate what's happening, I think that might be helpful as well, because things are very uncoordinated in many parts of the state, and it's not real simple to find out who's doing what and where they're collecting information, and because there's not one person other than even in the COC, right? It's become apparent that we have a very, 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 and I'm not even going to say bifurcated because it's more than that, right? A very disjointed systems across our state. So this is going to take a lot of us to gather the information across the state of what's happening so that we can figure out where the gaps truly are. And since we don't have staff that can go out and do a true gaps analysis, I think this is the best that we can do, is us to collaborate to do that. Karen?
So I have a, on the COCs, does all organizations share information with the COC? I mean, because I was going to say, I have only one grant that I am required to use Clarity. But other than that, we use Apricot, so we don't have we don't share all that information. So is it something that, that the COC should be reaching out, or is it something that, we should be reaching out to the COC to kind of like share some information, or?
Yeah, I think it's both, right? Because that's what I'm saying, is that there is no one place where all the information is being held or being gathered. And so we don't know, nobody knows everything that's happening within our system. So whether it's data, whether it's services, whether it's resources, there's no one location or one portal or one anything where we know what's happening. So we can everybody can say, well, we're doing this or we're not doing this or whatever, but who knows, right? Because it might be happening, it might not be happening. It just depends on who you talk to.
Okay.
And who knows what, right?
Right, exactly. Okay.
Michelle's opinion, I think we need a full-on deep dive needs assessment done across our state, but that's going to take some money to contract with somebody to do, and it's going to take some time to do that. And I don't see any money that came along, a fiscal note that came along with our mandate to do this. So I don't see a contract being able to go out to have somebody do a deep dive needs assessment. So I think the best we can do is what we can do, which is for us all to be reaching out and working with our COCs, our networks, the people we know, and then have them work out to their networks and all of that, and try to get the information we can to populate this information. So I'm also hoping that we can do things like get connected with the statewide homeless conference and the Nevada Housing Coalition conference, and other convenings that are taking place, and find a way or craft a way that we can gather information from those convenings to help us populate our matrix to find out who is doing what within our state, to give us information, right? It's an opportunity for us to get access to people that we wouldn't necessarily have access to. And I think we need to take advantage of those opportunities.
Madam Chair, this is Brooke. Is there also a need for us to find out who is doing what? But the goal of the strategic plan, are we adding on to information that's already being provided by the COCs in the document? Like, are we taking the existing information that we've gathered thus far and building upon it, or are we starting a different document? How do we want to sort of capture this information?
I'm not exactly sure I'm following your question, Brooke.
So there was a spreadsheet that was developed to capture all of the various different activities that are happening in the strategic plan by the COCs. Are we taking that document and building upon it based off of our strategic areas and building on what's already been provided, or are we starting from scratch? How are we capturing the information that we're going to be gathering to kind of determine who's doing what in these different areas?
Oh, great question. I have some thoughts, but I'm open to what the group thinks.
So thank you, Niani. It was on the screen for our new members. Niani sharing the document that was of this body approved for the COCs to go in and let us know between the Southern Nevada COC, our Northern Nevada, and our balance of state, what are they currently doing around the various goals that we've outlined in the strategic plan? Is there current activity happening on it? Is there a need for, is there gaps? Is there not anything happening? So we can sort of understand as a body, what is it that we should be prioritizing as a technical work group, and kind of rolling that up to the board so they are aware of the stuff that's happening statewide in relation to this plan. And so because this structure is already in place, the question is, do we want to build upon this and the information that's already being gathered, and kind of going around and following up on those gaps? Because I wasn't sure if we've compiled, if COCs have been kind of submitting their information already, and we've got like that information coming in from the COCs, so we can just kind of build on that, or are we starting from a blank slate?
Madam Chair and Brooke, this is Bill here, pleading ignorance because I'm brand new. I got that excuse for the next couple of sessions. Anyway, how do I find out, or how do I know who my COC is clear down here in good old Mesquite in Southern Nevada?
Bill, you're in my COC.
Thank you.
This is Chris. With the rural Nevada, with the balance of state COC, the rural Nevada COC, we have done nothing with this document so far. We've been struggling to, we've been shifting contractors, from SCI. And so that's been our primary focus. And so I know that it's disheartening to know that, but that is where we are.
Thank you, Chris, for the update. Is there any update? Do we know anything from Northern Nevada COC?
I think Hetty submitted hers already. I saw an email to that effect. I didn't review it, but I believe she submitted it.
Yes, Hetty Reed did submit information when the document originally went out. There was information that came in from the Northern COC. That's the only information we've gotten in thus far. And if I'm not mistaken, Hetty is no longer our point of contact for the Northern COC.
This is Karen. I can reach out to the county and see who is the point of contact over there for the COC.
Katrina Peters is the.
Yep.
Any updates from Southern Nevada, Michelle, on, do we have anything that we can build on with that?
We have some things in our document. We haven't submitted it to Niani yet. Unfortunately, we were in the end of our fiscal year and we've lost some staff. So we haven't done as much as we anticipated.
So is the goal then for this committee, should we take the information that we have and each of the champions use that information to go and further do a deep dive and get it populated by the champion. Is that the goal?
Good. If that's what we choose. It's an easier bite, or to work collaboratively with the other folks, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Again, I think that there are some opportunities coming up that we could all work together, like some conferences or some convenings that we might be able to do some collection of information across all strategic issues or across multiple strategic issues.
So is anybody going up to the state conference up here in Nevada, in Reno?
The State Homeless Conference?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. I have quite a few staff members that is going to be there along with myself, so gathering information and sharing.
And they've asked us to be on the agenda
I
to
saw
present
that.
the state plan. So it's a great opportunity. And then if we can talk to the planning group and ask them if we could actually have something in the lobby or something somewhere, or to, have a questionnaire, or have something, a board or something that we could gather information, strategic questions that we could ask people to populate the matrix, without just showing the matrix, but actually have, some targeted questions that we're gathering some information from people that would help us populate. I don't know if they have off the top of my head what that looks like at the moment, but
Madam Chair, Bill again, being dumb. When is that state conference?
the state,
August 15th and 16th.
yeah.
Just in time for hot August nights. Actually, that's before that, but.
Right.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. This is Pam Janelle for the record. I would love some more information on the conference as well. So it's August 15th and 16th. And then it's in Reno, Nevada. Is it still at UNR? Or can you point me to, I guess, like the website where the information is? Please forgive me. Thank you.
It actually populated on eventbrite.com.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Karen. Appreciate you. I'll take a look.
And if you go to NevadaHomelessAlliance.org, I think is their website, you can get that information there.
Well, it sends you to Eventbrite in order for you to get your tickets.
Yep. Then we've got the Nevada Housing Coalition Conference is coming up, I think, in October. There's the youth conference, which is going to be statewide, I think is coming up in November. And that'll be in the South at the Smith Center. So, there's several opportunities that we'll have coming up. And I don't know what else is coming up. Probably something else.
This is Pam Janelle for the record. Can you give me information on the housing conference in October? Yeah, so these are things that, as the NDE state coordinator, I appreciate y'all telling me these. I just want to be sure that I'm present at each and every one of those. So the housing conference, what are the dates on that? Or can you point me to where I can find it? Thank you.
Hi, Pam, this is Brooke. I will share with this committee through NAYANI, the Nevada Housing Coalition. Their website is where they're advertising the conference in October.
Thank you very much, Brooke.
Yeah.
Yep. And we'll do the same for the youth conference. We'll share that information with NAYANI, but if you go to the Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth website, I think that information is on their website as well.
To put a bow on this, Madam Chair, it sounds like we're gonna move forward with leveraging the spreadsheet, working with the champions will work with the various different COCs as a starting point to figure out how to populate information that we can gather on based on our strategic areas of focus. And then I think we had talked about before having a standing agenda item where we would kind of report out on what is happening. I don't know if that was just the COCs or if it should be the champions should also be reporting out on our progress in between meetings on kind of what we're learning or things that we're working on related to the strategic area. So does that sound like a strategy for us?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Now that we have champions for our strategic issues, I think that makes a lot of sense to have the champions reporting out as well. I do have a question, a clarification question. I've seen 2 different copies of the matrix. Which matrix are we using?
It should be the version that I don't think it's the one that was shared on the screen. There's another version that has more targeted questions, I believe.
May I share my screen? Am I allowed to share my screen, NAYANI?
Absolutely, yes.
Is it this version?
Yeah, that version.
Okay. All right.
Madam Chair, I will, my apologies. I will make sure that correct version as well as the strategic plan goes out to all the new members. I have both versions still, so I will rectify that in my file.
Thank you.
I had both too, and so I was confused. All right. So anything else on this agenda item? Brooke, I think you put a great synopsis of our discussion and next steps. Anything else that we need to address or add to Brooke's wrapping of this item?
The only thing I would suggest is, NAYANI, can you share with the committee members points of contact information? Or so we can, as far as having assistants that are supporting each one of our strategic areas, so we can connect with folks and be able to set up.
So email
meetings.
and phone number?
Yeah, that'd be helpful if that's available.
Yes, we will do that.
Great idea, Brooke.
Pamela Janelle, for the record, thank you very much for that. This helps calm my type A-ness. Thank you.
And Pamela, if there's any of the strategic issues that you want to jump on, feel free to let NAYANI know. I think you came in while we were just wrapping that up. So if there's a strategic issue you want to be on, let NAYANI know and she can add you to that.
Pamela Janelle, for the record. Thank you, Madam Chairperson, and please forgive my tardiness. We're in the middle of doing our Rev Zeros for fiscal year 2024 for the Nevada Department of Ed. So thank you very much for everyone being supportive of my crazy.
Thank you for joining us, even though you had to be a little bit late. We're glad that you were able to join us. Okay, so let's move on to the next agenda item. I believe we are now on agenda item number 5. Agenda item number 5 for possible action, discussion and possible vote to select ICHH Technical Assistance Subcommittee members to participate in following sessions for the state conference on homelessness in Nevada and to describe the nature of the participation. So do we want to do an information session, a focus group, breakout session, or a combination of activities? And I know that we have been, I think they have us on the agenda for a informational session, essentially, but we could change that. I could ask them to change that if we want to a focus group. And I think that they still have options for a breakout sessions if we wanted to do a breakout session. So I still think it's worth us having these conversations if there's a preference, if we have preference for one over the other. And I don't know if there's anybody from the planning group on this call.
Hi, Michelle Brick for the record. I am supposed to be on the planning group. I have not attended any recent meetings, so I'm probably not the best person to report out, but I would vote for an information session. I think there is a lot of important information that we could do a town hall type of kind of option where we could gather and have a two-way conversation about the strategic plan and the goals of the Interagency Council, and really maybe do an opportunity to listen to the various different community members and get input on the plan. To me, that feels like a lift that this body possibly could do rather easier than trying to plan a breakout group or a breakout topic.
Pam Janelle for the record. Yes, and as we're having this discussion, I didn't know like which members of our body were part of the planning committee. So this would be really helpful to get an update on where we are with things. Also to know like who some of our other participants are, because there are other committees that I'm on, but then just, building that connectedness with regards to like the work that we do, not only as our, self-contained entity, but how it connects with all of those others. That I think would be helpful too. So I think an information session is good, but then also maybe have like a moment where we can foster more relationships for collaboration in the future. But, that's me being all rose-colored glasses.
Other thoughts or ideas? Seriously?
Madam Chair, this is Bill. I'm just waiting for you to say seriously.
Thank you, Bill. All right, now I know how you roll. I got you.
For the record, I agree with Brooke and Pamela on this. I think an information session would be more beneficial both to us and to the recipients of this conference. And I think that we could probably get our voice out better on in an informational conference session. Sorry, I haven't had lunch yet. So I'm on board or vote to do an informational session versus some of the other ones listed.
Okay, so it sounds like we've got pretty much consensus on doing, you know, a town hall listening or informational, potentially feedback listening session. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Emojis, thumbs ups, you know, something, feedback, you know, you guys should know by now I like feedback. All right, thank you. All right. Thank you, Pam. At least you are lively. I appreciate you. See, that's what was missing at the early part of our meeting. Okay, so
I'm
So
with Bill.
who's
I
gonna-
haven't had my lunch yet.
so who's gonna do all of this? Who's gonna lead our information session, our town hall?
Who all is going to be there?
Don't be scared. How long is the session? This is Pam Janelle for the record.
That's a great question. I think it was I don't remember if it was an hour or a 90-minute session.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I don't mind. I just want to make sure there's not a conflict. I know I'm supposed to also be presenting on a different session, so as long as there's not a conflict, I don't mind helping to assist with the town hall. This is Brooke for the record.
I don't mind doing it, but I don't want to take I don't want to take an opportunity away from anybody who, you know, has a burning desire to present and do this presentation and
I think Pam would be
listening session.
awesome
Pam
presenting.
Janelle for the record. I'm just going to let y'all know, you know, just in honor of our most recent Pride Month, I'm in the process of cutting through not only the red tape, but the other rainbow colors of tape so that I could get funding to go to the conference. But honestly, guaranteed, once I, you know, finish, like, you know, jumping through those hoops, I'm there. I am more than happy to, you know, assist our team in providing an informational session based on what we're doing as like part of a panel group that's presenting. Because I haven't submitted a proposal, so I know that we're going in as Interagency Council. Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Karen. You owe me lunch. Okay, don't take that off the record. Okay.
Madam Chair, this is Bill. I'm not sure if anybody's going to talk about rural, but I can definitely talk about rural if you need me to. I plan on being there, by the way, for the record. It gets me out of Mesquite and out of the heat for a while.
Okay.
I can talk just about anything, because I like to talk.
I haven't noticed that, Bill.
I'll leave my mic muted.
So do we want to like break this up in a multi-presenter type of informational session? Do it that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good, Madam Chair. And I know that I know like prior to we'll probably have our pieces solidified as we get closer to the event. I'm very confident in our group.
Okay, great. Okay, sounds good. So would y'all like me to reach out to the to the Nevada Homeless Alliance and let them know that we will do a informational session, town hall type list session, and
Yes.
put
Yes.
Brooke, Pam, Bill, and myself forward as the panel or the group?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Well, hold on, Madam Chair. Chris, why are you quiet? I'm just being facetious. Just forgive me. It's Tuesday, y'all.
I don't think I'll be able to take off to go. I do apologize. I'd love to though, especially I'd love to be able to see everybody in person. I'm more of a in-person kind of a person, but I am just so absolutely swamped. I think my boss would have my head.
Okay, well, Chris, we don't want to get you in trouble, but we're just going to hold space for you. And if you're able to make it, we would just be more than delighted to have you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay. All right, this item does say for possible vote. So do we need to have any more discussion on this item? Nope. Okay. Do we need to vote that we're going to do a listening or an informational session, town hall style with a listening component to it? And we're going to put forward Brooke, Pam, Bill, and myself as the team that is gonna go forward for the state homeless conference. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Bill, for the record, I'll second.
All those in favor, please unmute and indicate by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed, please unmute and indicate by saying nay.
I have a
Any-
technical question. I'm sorry. I should have asked this during discussion. Brooke, for the record, is this intended to be for the technical assistance work group, or is it intended to be for the Interagency Council on Homelessness board? Because I think sometimes those get convoluted. And are they expecting us to be the entity, or, the body that needs to be presenting at this statewide homeless conference?
Britt, that is a very good question. And I was kind of vacillating between those two because I hang on both of them. That's why I was like, where are the new people at? No.
You know what? That's a great question.
Because we're not the board.
That is true. We are not the board.
Madam Chair, can I ask a
Please,
question?
Deanne, go ahead.
So obviously, we know that the ICH Council has had one meeting since legislative session, and unfortunately, they did not meet quorum. They do have a new chair as well. They're scheduled to have a meeting on August 21st. I should probably look at my calendar. That's incorrect. August 17th is their next scheduled meeting. When this was originally brought up, I'm pretty sure that Katrina came to this body and asked, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, I think she did come to this body.
So that's how it ended up on the agenda and the way it is now. And it needed a vote. Ryan stated the DAG stated it needed a vote for the committee. But so I'm thinking that they know it's the technical subcommittee, but only because they came to this body originally. But if you feel like there's some confusion, I can absolutely reach out to Tim. Robb is the new chair of the ICH Council, and I'm almost positive he plans on attending the conference. Have you guys spoke, Michelle?
I sent him an email, but we haven't spoken yet.
Okay. But if you just want to make sure and clarification, I can definitely reach out and make sure that he's understanding that you guys will be representing the council as the technical assistance subcommittee. Is that what we need?
Yeah.
I think we need to make sure that he doesn't have an issue with it.
Okay.
Because the last thing we
Janelle.
want is for it to be us be up there representing the the strategic plan, and then for him to get upset because he's the chair.
Pam Janelle for the record. Naomi, thank you very much for seeking clarification in that, and also for helping to differentiate the board versus the technical assistance subcommittee. That's really helpful for me, so that way I can stay off the news and stay out of jail.
Okay, so pending clarification, as long as Mr. Rob is good with us representing the council and the strategic plan, then we'll go forward.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Danny, are we good to move to the next item?
The vote got done, right? Was there a second? Did we hear everybody vote?
I think we did.
Okay, so yes.
Yeah, I think so. Brooke interrupted with a technical question. I'm trying to remember when she interrupted with the technical
Oh, sorry.
question.
I think we were at the nays, if there was anybody that was against this.
Any nays? Any abstentions? I didn't ask abstentions. Any abstentions? Motion carries, provided Mr. Rob is in agreement. There we go. And Niani, I'm sorry, the mess your team will have to clean up for the language around all that motion. But I'm sure they'll get it right for the minutes. Okay, next agenda item. Agenda item number 6. For information only, Brooke Page will give us an update on legislative bills that impact homelessness in the state of Nevada.
Awesome. Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, everyone. So I was keeping a spreadsheet that I was sharing with you all during 2 meetings ago about the update at the time. And there's been a lot of movement, obviously, since this legislative session did end. Sunny Day was June 5th, and there was a lot of activity in the last even 24 hours at the end of that session. And it went into special session twice. So lots of important updates. I'm going to just kind of share that spreadsheet again so you all can see this tracking of where the bills landed in case you all were tracking it for yourself. So there's a lot of red, meaning the bill did die. The greens indicate that it did pass with the governor's signature because there was a lot of vetoes as well this legislative session, almost a record. So what's important to note here, I'll just kind of go over the ones that I won't go into detail about the ones that they died. Just know if you're tracking them, AB 217 did not pass. AB 135 was signed. It's the provisions relating to homelessness, revises the provisions for persons. This is more about getting people who experience homeless can apply for a certified or official copy of their birth certificate, requiring the Nevada Housing Crisis Response System to assist them with that process. So there's actually a resource now for folks to get access to their documentation. And so this is, important for our service providers, boots on the ground, to review AB 135, which is now, and I don't have the chapters here, but these are now in NRS statutes. But the next bill, AB 195, was approved. This is an act relating to offenders requiring the Department of Motor Vehicles to waive the fee for the administration of the examination required to receive a driver's license for folks that are exiting the justice system. So this is an important legislation for folks that are coming out of institutional settings and need access to documentation so they can get back into the community and be productive. So AB 195, SB 317, an act relating to public welfare, authorizing a provider of homeless services to authorize the use of the provider's address as a temporary mailing address by a person experiencing homelessness for certain purposes. And then it also requires the Department of Welfare and Supportive Services to publish a list of such providers and provide other matters relating to thereto. So having the opportunity now to have temporary mailing addresses to be used for, applications or resources, this was codified in statute. AB 194 did not pass. This is the suspension, expulsion provisions in the school district. AB 330 did pass. This is provisions regarding the suspension or so this is, I think these are a similar bill. So sometimes the bills might have been introduced in the Assembly and in the Senate. But this looks like there was two assembly bills that might have been doing similar work, but the AB 330 was actually passed regarding expansion or expulsion of certain homeless pupils and pupils in foster care. So Dr. Pamela Janelle, this might be one that you might be able to speak to more intelligently than me, but it did pass.
Yeah, I'm actually working through Nevada Department of Ed's like standing on that particular one simply because we have to be very careful with the language in it. Hang on, let me see. I have some notes here. Thank you, Brooke, for your time on that one. Because that one was one that we're still trying to provide more articulation and guidance on. The hard part about it is, okay, I can't find my notes, but well, let me see. The best way that I could put it is they're looking at revising the provisions, not with regards to like permanent expulsion, but if we look at it in terms of and I'm going to use the example of a student with special needs or a student who's protected by IDEA. Students who are homeless are protected by McKinney-Vento, where we have to remove educational barriers. Sometimes some of the issues surrounding suspension or expulsion may stem from the trauma of being homeless. So that's something where this particular piece of legislation, we still need to articulate like how that is going to apply so that we do not end up vilifying a student for being homeless based on like some of their behaviors that may or may not be related to experiencing homelessness. That was a lot. I apologize. This also pulls in, and this is one of the things where it's very difficult because we do have a state foster care liaison, and the Uninterrupted Scholars Act and other legislation help govern the care and the supports for students in foster care. But for some reason, students who are homeless and those in foster care are lumped together when it's like completely different legislation that has protection for them both. So once again, like we're at the state level and we're still trying to carve out exactly what this legislation means and then moving forward what the supports for students look like. So I would love to like revisit this like during a later time, but for the time being, I know we only have so much time in our meeting. Thank you though for the floor.
Yeah, thank you for elaborating. It's helpful, especially folks if you've got more details to. I'm partial to the bill. I was tracking certain bills and this wasn't one that was on my radar. So thank you so much. Okay, so that's AB 330. The next one that did pass is SB 155. And this bill provides for people that are experiencing homelessness. This bill authorizes and they commit certain misdemeanor offenses that they be assigned to a diversionary and specialty court program to, especially if there's misdemeanor types of offenses that are life types of, reasons for somebody kind of experiencing homelessness because of their living situation, or loitering, or things that because of their homelessness, trying to minimize criminalization. And so this diversion opportunity, I think, is focused on, helping us to address more of the social issue and the root cause of someone's experiencing homelessness versus criminalizing their homeless situation. So that SB 155 was passed. There was a bill, SB 400, that really was interesting about this bill. It was initially going to provide some additional resources to the continuums of care to address crisis response, but this bill did not pass. So that was one that we were tracking. SB or AB 310, this is actually a bill that is my personal baby. I've literally birthed this bill, and it went all the way through and passed, and we had a bill signing on Friday. So this is the bill that we presented on that creates the infrastructure. We made sure and codified in this bill that the Nevada Housing Division must now work with the Interagency Council on Homelessness to vet applications that come in for services. So that way we can actually have services in housing. And so this bill passed. We've got $32 million now dedicated to services for people experiencing homelessness statewide. So it's a statewide opportunity. So our rurals, frontier, everybody can apply for this money. So that's a win. SB 68, which was another type of supportive housing legislation that was more of a dedicated tax. So the one thing with AB 310, that bill is one-shot funding. So we need to demonstrate that this works. We've got a pilot, and we can work with other funders to help fund this. But with SB 68, they were actually asking for a dedicated fund source and a real estate transfer tax kind of situation. But that did not pass under this administration. It didn't go for a hearing. AB 136 requires certain facilities to be licensed as child care institutions. And so there must have been some provisions in there related to homelessness, but this one did pass. AB 176 did not pass. There was a lot of housing types of legislation that were tenant protection related types of policies that would put more protections on for tenants, to address the eviction moratorium and some of the hurdles and barriers that folks are experiencing even in this economy. A lot of those policies did not pass under this administration. So just kind of be aware of that. I think AB 176 was one of those. AB 528. So there was two last minute types of bills that came in the very final hours of the 82nd legislative session, and then also the special session. AB 528 was one of those. This was an opportunity to establish a program that will receive matching funds from other funders could match this money that the legislature has since approved to create a program that would address homelessness. And the focus really is in Southern Nevada, I think is kind of the focus of this, especially because of the A's, which was the SB 1 bill, was the A's bill that passed. There's a lot of new industries coming in, and so this particular program is intended to be funded. The legislature put in $100 million that can be matched by other fund sources to develop a program to address homelessness. And so the design of that program and all of kind of the expectations of what this program would look like. There was conversations that this would sort of mirror or look alike the Haven for Hope in San Antonio, Texas, was the kind of the model that this legislation came from. So that's something that if you are in Southern Nevada and you're addressing homelessness, you definitely want to read AB 528 and understand the provisions of this bill. The last one, SB 1, this was the special session that went through the A's bill. There was a lot of negotiations related to this bill. It was controversy on both sides. In order for it to get passed, there needed to be some addressing of social issues in the community. And one of those social issues that went through was transferring some of the tax. There's a refund tax or transferable tax credit of $120 million that can be, it's like a waterfall type of situation where some of these funds can go into the community housing fund at Clark County to address supportive housing, which ultimately would address the permanent housing solution for people experiencing homelessness. And so that negotiation happened in order to help, with the A's addressing some of our social needs in Southern Nevada. So that was kind of my summary of the bills. I'm sure that there's a lot of other bills that might have touched homelessness, but those are the ones that I'm tracking. So I'll pause there to see if anybody has any questions.
Pam Janelle for the record. Brooke, thank you so much for this overview. Please forgive me. I think like the Barracuda may have eaten my attachments. Is there any way that I could get like a copy of that?
Oh, I never sent this out. So there was no Barracuda, but I'll get this to Niani. It was just something that I was updating as the ledge was going. So yeah, I'll share
Much
this with Niani.
appreciated, and congratulations on your work getting signed. Thank you.
It's a dream come true. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Brooke. That was a great summary. Thank you for tracking all of those bills, and congratulations on getting that bill passed. I know that that's a lot of hard work. So, and it's going to be a tremendous asset to all of us across the state. So really, really appreciate the work that you did for that.
Thank you. Team effort. Thank you so much.
So, any other questions for Brooke? Okay, so we've got some work to do now that some of those bills have passed, and to figure out why some of them didn't pass, so that we can to get ready for the next legislative session, right? So that we can strengthen some of the asks and work with folks for those things that we do want to take to the next legislative session. But we've also got some work to do, and some of those things will help us with our strategic plan.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wonder if a lot of this information can be tracked in our policy strategic initiative group, and just kind of keeping a pulse as to policies that are being brought forward related to homelessness and things that are passing and aren't passing, and the hurdles with those.
Well, that's you and Bill, so there you go.
Sorry, Bill.
That's okay. I'm used to it.
I think that's a great idea.
I'll have that right. I'll have that white paper for you here in about 2 days, Brooke.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Anything else on this agenda item? Not seeing anything. We'll go ahead and close this item. Agenda item number 7 for information only. I think we already pretty much covered this, but for purposes of the agenda, Niani, would you like me to open and close this item?
Yes, please.
Okay, so for information only, Chris Murphy, Hetty Reed, and Chair Michelle Fuller-Hellauer to update the progress from the COCs on the document, our matrix document to elicit information to help with the Nevada Strategic Plan on Homelessness. We heard that Hetty Reed has not had any updates on the Northern Nevada portion of the plan, but they had already sent in some information previously to Niani and team. In Southern Nevada, we have some updates to the document, but we have not sent the information into Niani as of yet. We are continuing to update that document, and we'll get that information sent in. And Chris, you want to do your update?
Yes, this is Chris for Rural Nevada. we have done nothing. We'd scheduled a 3-hour meeting to do this, and then it was taken over resolving contract issues with SCI. So I apologize, and hopefully we'll get back to it soon.
All right. Any questions for Chris or myself?
Madam Chair, Chris, this is Bill for the record. If you need any help on that, Chris, I know I don't want to fill up my plate and all that stuff, but being out here in Mesquite, a little bit of rural, I can chime in there and help you out if you need some help. Just call me up, email me, smack me, whatever, and I'll be more than happy to jump on board.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close agenda item number 7. Agenda item number 8 for information only, discussion of agenda items for our next meeting, August 8th. Any items anybody want to put forward for our next agenda?
Ms. Brooke, for the record, we talked about having a standing update on from the champions.
I don't have the our meeting on my calendar.
Madam Chair, there is not a meeting update. That the last one was ended in July that we did last year for every second Tuesday of the month. So we do need to set a new series.
Okay. That would be why I don't have it on my calendar.
We were going to do that after this meeting.
Well, that meeting time will be the same time as the homeless conference. So I'm wondering do we need to poll? Because there's been a few times that we haven't met quorum. I'm wondering if we should re-poll this time and date as consistent for everybody. Is that now that we've got new members, is that appropriate to do?
The conference is the 15th.
Oh, it is the 15th. So the 8th would be the meeting. Is that okay?
The standing meeting from last year and a half ago was the second Tuesday of each month at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
But I think it's a good point, Brooke. We can verify that time still works for everybody. Right, Niani?
I mean, it does work for me. So I don't know if we just want to say yay or nay.
Can we get a thumbs up? Does this time continue to work for everybody?
It doesn't work for me.
It doesn't?
No. I mean, I try to do it, but I manage 18 grants and have to send all my reports in by the 15th. So that is my time frame there where I'm just like, I make it work, but yeah.
Pam Janelle, for the record on that, Karen, I do totally understand. That's why I was late today. So, yeah, I'm willing, because we also have division meetings like on these days too. And so I have to, I try to keep friendly with my division leaders so that they let me do stuff. So I'm amenable to any dates, but I mean, I will tell you though, around the middle of the month, and then like when we have our division meetings, sometimes I am double booked, and I want to be sure to be there so that our team can make quorum and we can get, continue to move. And so I really just want to honor that on both ends. Thank you though, and thank you, Karen, for bringing that up.
Okay. Is there a better time of the day, time of the month, day of the month that works better for the majority of folks on this group, on this team?
This is Chris Murphy for the record. I could do the third Tuesday, and that way it would take us out of the grant submittal, because we run into the same issue with grants here.
Does the third Tuesday work for everybody?
I don't.
This is Brooke for the record. It does for me. Just in August, that will be the
Correct.
date of the conference. So
Yeah, that works for me.
I got a thumbs up from Nolga.
That works for Bill.
Okay.
Yeah, that should work for me. It's just one of those, Pam Janelle for the record. It's just one of those things where sometimes when we have conferences, usually what I do is I peel off any meetings and count that as, time, because there's only so many hours in the day. Thank you so much.
Okay. And I got a thumbs up from Lorena. Scott, does that work for you? Got a thumbs up from Austin. Scott, does the third Tuesday work for you? I think we may have lost Scott. Okay. If we move it, I'm going to hold you all accountable that you need to make sure you make the meeting so we can have quorum. You got it?
Pam Janelle for the record, Madam Chairperson, heard, noted, got it.
Okay. So we will move the meeting starting September, because in August will be the homeless conference. So do we want to skip our meeting in August then and not meet, or do we want to meet on the 8th in August?
Madam Chair, this is Bill. I think that, and this is just me talking as a newbie, and help me out here, everybody else, if you want to, but I think I need to meet one more time before I go up to Reno, at least on the 15th and 16th, and put my face out there to see where we're at and see if we're caught up or something like that. Because the last thing I want to do is put my ugly mug out there and look the fool that I can be.
All righty.
Pam Janelle for the record, remember, we're just going to blame it on the heat. I know that some people unofficially would blame it on the alcohol, but I'm going to blame that on the heat. So Bill, we got you covered, buddy.
No. We up here in northern Nevada, in Reno here, don't have that temperature like y'all have in the south.
Oh, I
So-
lived in both. I've lived in both, Karen.
So I can blame it on the heat and the alcohol.
My apologies.
That, none of that's for the record, Niani. Again, just reiterating, I feel that maybe we or I need to get together with at least Brooke or some of the other folks on my champion teams to see where we're at, or with Chris, since Chris isn't going, to see what he's got for the rural world out there, so I can, have a decent presentation, or ready to answer some questions, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I think I think the small group of us that would be presenting probably need to get together before we present anyway. But I hear you, Bill. We probably should also get together. So I'm okay with meeting on August 8th if we can meet quorum. So if I can get commitment that y'all are going to meet with me, then I'm good with having a meeting, and let's figure out what's going to be on that agenda.
If we can get it on the calendar ASAP, that would be very beneficial.
Okay. All right. So next meeting will be August 8th, which is the second Tuesday. But starting in September, we'll start work meeting on the third Tuesdays. For August 8th, what do we want on our agenda?
Pam Janelle, for the record, in reinforcing and supporting Bill's recommendation to go over and tighten up our informational session for the conference. And then maybe just any other items of business that trickle in. I know that we were discussing heavily our RN COCs and our COCs and where they are with some things. And I would just also recommend just checking in with other entities like coordinated entry and some of the work that they're doing specifically because I was on a meeting a couple of weeks back. They have a dashboard, and I just asked some questions about efficiency because like the permanent housing that they are in effort to do, just in a nutshell, they were able to permanently house one person, but it took about 110 days to do it. So that may be something that we, as the Interagency Council on Homelessness, may be able to foster some discussion. So conference, status of our COCs, and then also specifically coordinated entry and how maybe we can function as an entity to support their efforts in permanent housing as it applies to the work that we do.
So for clarification, Pam, you want somebody from each of the COCs coordinated entry to present?
No, well, we as Interagency Council on Homelessness maybe discuss those items and what our role would be in terms of, our relationship. So the relationship between Interagency Council on Homelessness and like the status of the COCs, right? We were discussing that earlier today. So it's going to be a month. So I'm just seeing what would the update be for that? And then coordinated entry. While I sit on that committee, there are other individuals that do as well. And the information they did present, they may need additional support on efficiency and using the dashboard to help with permanent housing for individuals in the use of that utility of the dashboard. So not necessarily having them present, but we may need to invite them as a guest, or either myself or someone else can just kind of provide an update and we can have a discussion about what our role as Interagency Council on Homelessness could be in relationship with them. I'm sorry it's hard to articulate that, but I was just a bit disturbed that it took 110 days to permanently house one person with all of these people going through a system. And it's 100+ degrees outside.
This is Chris for the record.
Yes, sir.
And I think a beautiful example of that is with all of the coordinated entry that each of our COCs have, we're not able to transfer one client from one community queue to another community queue, even though we live in a state where most of the people that we're serving are very transient, moving from community to community. And I think that that's what Pamela is bringing up is a huge issue that we have with homelessness. And so I think that that's a good example of, you know, if I put somebody on the queue in rural Nevada, they can relocate, but they have to relocate in rural Nevada, continuum of care. They can't go from Fallon 60 miles to Washoe without having to start over.
Chris, thank you, Pam Janelle, for the record, and thank you very much for providing additional elaboration on a specific example of the challenges of being separate entities and how they're like disconnected, even though the intention is not meeting the expectations. So thank you for that, sir.
Okay. Anything else that we want on our agenda?
Should we, Brooke, for the record, should we get an update on the homeless census reports?
Ours will probably be released 2 days after our next meeting.
Oh.
Pam Janelle, for the record, Brooke, thank you for bringing that up. I do know the RNCOC, oh Lord, the PIT count or point in time count, that report was released. And I don't know which entities it went to. I did get a copy of that. Did anyone else in this body get a copy? I'm just asking for, oh, wow. Okay. Pam Janelle, for the record again, Liani, would you be okay if I forwarded this information to you so that Interagency Council on Homelessness has it? And I want to apologize to you all because I didn't have the foresight to just think of firing this off to you. So my apologies for that, but now I'm glad that, so once again, to Chris's point, there's the disconnect. So Niani, I will find that information and forward it right now. And thank you, Brooke, for that question.
Anything else? Yanni, can you read back what we have on for the agenda, please?
Yes, so obviously it will be worded different once the agenda comes. So these are my rough notes. So go over information session for the conference. I had each COC then stopped. So I put relationships between COCs and the Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness to Housing discussion. I don't think that can be formed into an action item. And then the next one was discussion on inability to transfer and current COC system one person to another depending on region. And then I put northern/southern/rural. Because I put those as two different discussions. Did I hear that correctly? Maybe I didn't with the on the screen.
So I think there's a coordinated entry conversation.
Okay.
About how coordinated entry and the interagency council, how the interagency council can assist the COCs with to strengthen their coordinated entry processes.
Okay.
I don't know if
Pam,
that's
Pam Janelle for the record. And here's the thing, I'm trying to be critical, but then again, I am, because I have to think about it in terms of the role that I play as the state coordinator for homeless children and youth. And so while I don't want to impose, it's more of a matter of asking some pointed questions in terms of like the role of our bodies and how can we better collaborate in assisting and strengthening areas. Like, for instance, with Interagency Council on Homelessness, I know there's some things that we're trying to strengthen and we're working toward that. So then this is where we could have a really great conversation with coordinated entry and like just using the Jeopardy principle, maybe ask them like, hi, as coordinated entry, like what is some of the work you're doing? And, you know, are there any ways that we can collaborate in helping with any efficiencies, given that we know that there's, you know, some challenges in, you know, permanent housing for individuals. So it's a matter of just like determining the roles and then kind of like how do we seamlessly fit where we're not operating as silos, but as a collaborative effort between the entities.
so it sounds more like, if I may, it sounds more like you would like to have a conversation between the coordinated entry leads of each COC and us.
Madam Chair, that may be the case. I will just be honest. I don't know what I'm asking for. I just know that I was sitting on that committee meeting and it just hit me that it takes 110 days to house someone. I mean, I don't.
Was that in the north?
That's a great question. It was on the dashboard, so I don't know where it came from. And
which
I would
COC
ask Chris for some help on that.
In?
No, it was literally the coordinated entry committee meeting.
But which COC coordinated entry were you working with?
That's the question. I don't know.
Because there's a different coordinated entry process for each COC.
Okay.
So that's why I'm trying to ask the questions to figure out exactly what we need, who we need to have at the table to have the discussion, to figure out what you're asking.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And what I can do is I can forward the contact that I have for the coordinated entry committee to Niani, because I believe it's literally a combination of a ton of people. And there's this one dashboard that is being used. So I can't differentiate that only because I'm not them.
So if I can see that, I might be able to decipher the who, what, where, when. And
Madam Chair, thank you.
I might be able to help figure out what was going on. And we might have to have a follow-up conversation to figure out exactly what it is you're asking.
And Madam Chair, I really appreciate that so much because, you know, I know that with the more information we have, we will be able to, you know, really like move some things for the people under our charge. So Madam Chair, thank you very much because those are some excellent questions. And I receive all of that because I'm learning every day from everyone. Thank you. I will send that information to Niani now. Thank you. Pam Janelle out for the record. Do the mic drop. And Chris, thank you very much for the additional elaboration.
So on the agenda, Madam Chair, we have obviously the information session, discussion on that. And am I also listing the relationship between coordinated entry and the Interagency Council of Homelessness to Housing? Technical Assistance Subcommittee?
I think
I don't. Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Dr. Pamela Janelle was talking about the RNCOC dashboard. So I don't know if Are we inviting someone from there to kind of explain how theirs works, since there's 3 different systems? Or
Pam Janelle, for the record, Niani, thank you very much for posing that question. And this is where I'm going to be very humble and say, I don't even know. And so those, I think, are the questions that we should ask. And I think maybe, if anything, just have like an introduction just to kind of see, you know, which COC we are working with regards to the dashboard, because I don't know who built the dashboard. I don't know who didn't, because someone else was representing NDE on this committee. I just happened to have sat in a meeting where they showed the dashboard, and it took 110 days to place one person out of like everyone in the queue. So I couldn't even begin to tell you. Okay.
That's pretty good, actually. So I'm not, yeah, that's pretty good.
Well,
This is Chris. I share an office with my data clerk, Roxanne, and she also sits on the coordinated entry subcommittee, and it was rural Nevada. She attended that meeting for us, and so that's where it came from. And BitFocus is the one that created that dashboard for us. But I didn't go to that meeting, so I can't elaborate much further than that.
Thank you very much for your input on that, Chris. That is very helpful. And I mean, I'm not trying to like open a can of worms here, but and this is where I may ask for support from this group just to kind of help me make it make sense, like MIMS it, like, you know, what our connection is, and then also how we can strengthen each other. And so maybe it's just me from my perspective, where on one end, 110 days is very good. But then when I think about it with respect to education, and it's summertime and kids are out of school and they're with their parents, when a school year is about 180 days, I'm looking at it from the perspective of, wow, if this was going on through an academic year, that's a majority of an academic year that someone is waiting. So I think my perspective is a little bit different. And so I am opening myself up to be more understanding about that, but then also asking the very important questions of how can we streamline this for better proficiency and efficiency, because they even identified that even their intake system, like some people would jump the line and others wouldn't. And then like who was the contact for getting into the queue? And so that's where it gave me more questions. So from the NDE standpoint of 180 days of school, 110 days, I look at that and I'm like, wow, that's a long time. And then I think about my lived experience walking the streets of Vegas with my mother in the heat, and going to shelters and things like that. 110 days is a very, very long time.
Sure it is.
And this is 2023, and that was happening back in 1980 for me.
Sure.
But no, thank you. But thank you for that. And thank you all for your time and allowing me to kind of provide that context. And Chris, thank you very much for drilling down like that particular dashboard. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And I absolutely understand the concern, right? And 110 days is a long time, right? We don't want anybody to be homeless at all. And a day is too long, right? But in context of how long it's taking, you know, because I work in the system, right? So I know how long it takes, given that we have, 13 available units for every 100 extremely low income people in our community that need them. So I know what the availability of safe, affordable units is. So it's hard to find those units and get people in a efficient manner, right? So it's all context, right? And understanding what we're talking about and all of that. So I think what we need to do for this is reach out to each COC and bring in a lead from the coordinated entry system to give us an overview of their coordinated entry process. And then we can have a discussion on how, if there's just a discussion of how we can support them.
Madam Chair, Pam Janelle for the record, thank you so much. And I appreciate all of you because you actually speak Pam now, meaning you were able to drill down and actually get to like a route of where we can go as Interagency Council on Homelessness. So for that, I thank you all very much. And yes, I am special ed. So I will be getting someone to write my IEP because I can't write it for myself. Thank you.
I started as a special ed teacher, so I got you, Pam. And Niani, I will be presenting on behalf of Southern Nevada for coordinated entry. So, so I got you there as well.
So, Madam Chair, just for clarification, so I have obviously going over the information session for the conference, and then I am going to reach out to the rural and northern COC to request leads come and give an overview presentation of their coordinated entry process. Okay.
And ask them to stick around for a discussion.
Okay. So we have both of those agenda items on August 8th agenda, correct?
Yeah, and then the standing item of the report backs from the chairs or the champions on from the COCs and from the strategic issue areas.
Okay, yes, I have all three of those.
I think that's probably going to take up a chunk of our agenda. Okay. Anything else pressing that we think needs to be on that agenda? If not, I'm going to move on. Okay. This is the next agenda item is agenda item number 9. This is our last public comment for the agenda. No action may be taken upon a matter raised upon this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. If you are making a public comment via phone, please call 1-775-321-6111, ID 124-739-311#. Or if you are joining through video, you can just unmute yourself and state your name. So this is time for public comment. Do we have any public comment? Public comment going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, seeing none, hearing none. All right, so with that, it is 3:03 p.m. on July 11th, 2023. I am going to say that this meeting of the subcommittee of the Interagency Council on Homelessness to Housing is adjourned. I will see you same back channel, same back time next month. Thank you all
And-
for joining us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it is
Thank you.
7-Eleven day. Go get a free Slurpee. Or take your kids or grandkids.
That part.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
We did it.
Yes, and got a lot done. But I will convene with my team and we will have questions for you tomorrow. I'm so glad we set that meeting though.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to have questions. Your minutes are going to be a hot mess. I apologize for you and Samantha and the rest of your team trying to decipher minutes from meetings I lead. I'm sorry. I just put that out there. I'm sorry.
It's gonna be fine. We're gonna get it done. But I'm glad that you guys had a meeting because a lot of stuff was gone through. So that's a good thing. And I just want to make sure now that we have a team in place that we are actively working behind the scenes on getting everything updated that needs to be updated. So
yeah, I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
and I can't lead a dry meeting. I'm sorry. I just
we're good. We're
it's not my
good.
nature. I can't. So I'm
Michelle,
sorry.
I think we all appreciate that. Thank you.
I know it makes it hard on y'all trying to do the minutes, but I'm sorry.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. And I already emailed Mr. Rob. I keep
Rob.
saying his name wrong. Rob.
I don't know how to pronounce
So
his name.
right. So I think as soon as he gets back to me, I'm sure it's going to be fine. And then I'll just forward that email to you.
Okay.
Let you
Cool.
know that we're good to go. So, okay, we're going to hop off the line because we're going to prep for getting done with this meeting. And for Sam and I will both be on the call with you tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you
Okay.
guys. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Michelle.
Take care. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.